cell phones.
Oh,
There's
oof.
less gratitude in how present we are with each other because, like, you could pick up the call and pick up the phone and call a friend that's on the other side of the planet, or, there's like so much instant gratification around connecting with a person or even getting something that we want. And so I feel like that keeps us from being patient and from pacing in a way that really honors the present and a person that we're connecting to. But I find myself really stressed out more and more, I think, the older that I get, about like phones. The more I train myself to be present with people, the more I find having a cell phone very annoying or like irritating. Because I'm like, it's so unrealistic for me to like be present with every single person that's trying to text me or call me or wanting to talk on the phone. And it's like all these different people who I would, if this was like 100 years ago, we'd have to be really intentional about setting up a time to meet and then actually being there.
I think about that all the time. Like, you watch old movies, even not old, movies from the 90s where someone was like, I'll meet you at 3. And you just had to trust
that they're
they'll
going to be
there
there
at 3.
Yeah.
Like, there's no like last minute, sorry, can't make it. It's like, no, we said 3, so you're going to be there at 3.
Yeah, your entire relationship, the accountability of maintaining that connection with that person is all hanging in the balance of you showing up on time at that place. And yeah, I think people were even more patient back then, where if someone was late, they would wait an hour. Now,
interesting.
even,
Yeah.
It's like, it's really interesting because like we're also less patient in that way as well. We're less like, somebody tells you they're going to be there in 20 minutes. It's kind of like a turnoff, nowadays. But I think where it would have been then, there's still a sense of presence that people have that just, it feels more rooted in gratitude.
How are you knowing that you have this fight against the phone? How are you cultivating presence? Or are you winning? Is the phone winning? Is it just right now we're just in the experimenting phase? Do you transition to a lot of people know that I have purchased what's called a light phone, which is a dumb phone. It just calls and texts. And I don't use it. And I bought it. I have it. But I don't. My intention was to use it more consistently. But I feel really trapped. And I think I have a healthy relationship with the phone. And yet I know I look at it way too much. So what's your practice to presence?
I think the pattern for me has been really beautiful. I feel like the phone is definitely a blockage. Social media, like all of it, is a blockage. And I realized that it was a blockage when I took time away from it. So much started to come up. Thoughts.
How long?
Feelings.
Is this like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? When does the...
It could be a day.
A day and you feel it.
It could be a day. It could be 2 days, But I think everything that comes up, depending on how often I've been on my phone, and then the moment that I choose to get off determines how stressed out and overwhelmed I feel when I'm by myself with my own thoughts. So if I'm actually taking more time to be with myself alone without my phone or in present, I think the moments that I find myself, without my phone, when it's more consistent, it feels less stressful, because then like I'm not overwhelmed with everything that I hadn't given myself a chance to think about all at once, because I've already given myself time to process what's on my mind. And so it's those moments where we don't have stimuli to distract us, where I think or for myself, when I don't have stimuli to distract me, I spend more time with myself and my thoughts. So then I have a choice, to continue distracting myself and putting away just the noise, or actually sitting with my thoughts and leaning in. And showing up with care for myself in that way. And then, like, turns out that a lot of the things that I may have been putting off, or a lot of the things that are coming up that may have been blocked because of my phone usage or everything else that I have to distract myself, those are all things that I have a really beautiful opportunity to work on, and that maybe could help bring me closer to, my friends and people in my life that I want to be more present with. I feel like our society causes us to have, our present day culture and society with tech causes us to have a shorter
Anxiety.
attention span and anxiety, but a shorter attention span, but it also keeps us from being present with our inner selves. And I think that that's really important, for us to do more.
I'm gonna confess something that it's fresh. It's this morning. I have not shared it with anyone. I shared a story on my Instagram, and Instagram said, "Congratulations, you have shared 5,000 stories." And I was sickened. I was like, "Do not congratulate me for this. This is 5,000 times." I said, "Look at me."
Oh, it's giving you, yeah, it's giving you it's like praising you for giving you a reward.
Praising you for how much time I spent on the thing, how many times I said, "Look at me," because that's my relationship with that thing called social media. Is it has done beautiful things where I can connect with you. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
It has done beautiful, like I've connected with people. I've received really beautiful messages. It's allowed me to do cool things at times. More times than not, it has sort of taken from me than I think it has given. But every time I share a story, I think to myself, it's one way of saying, "Look at me," or "I'm still doing something. I'm still making something. I'm still here." And so when I saw this thing this morning and it said, "Congratulations, you 5,000 times," I was like, that's a lot of times. Have I said to myself, "I'm beautiful" 5,000 times? Like, what else have I done 5,000 times? Like, I want to do something else 5,000 times.
Yeah, there isn't really anything in our lives that keeps track of the things that we would be more proud of being congratulated for. These counters are new, and I think they're just meant to cause people to feel like, they're doing a good thing by sharing a lot on social media. And these tech companies don't care. They don't care about how much of your humanity just sort of leaks out of you every time, like, you reach the 10,000 mark.
I could see someone listening to this now and saying, like, "Oh, that's right. We don't have a thing that counts your good things," right? And so they're like, "Let's make an app. Let's do something that counts that." And so you're stuck in the cycle. Even this ring, partially shout out to Aura, but also like it just gamifies your life.
I hope they gave it to you for free.
Like it just gamifies your life. It tells you, like, here's your sleep score, or your this score. Everything is scored. And how do we live in a way where we don't need a score? We know our score based on how we feel. I feel good. I feel present. I feel like I'm really listening to people. I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel, right? Do we have that relationship with ourselves where we check in with ourselves maybe 5,000 times?
Yeah, I think that's a really, I think, great point. I think there's a foundation for friendship and relationships that is becoming more popular, where people are more intentional about holding each other accountable, in being consistently who they are and being better. And I feel like that's a form of that counter, and it's important for us to depend on the people in our lives that we can trust to be honest with us about the mistakes we're making.
You have people like that in your life?
I would hope that we all do, but I find that to be really important, because, like, that's the counter. We can't depend on our own. We can't depend on on ourselves to determine whether or not we're doing well. We have to also, like, check in with the people around us, because somebody may be telling you like, hey, you made a mistake here. And you're like, no, 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 I'm a great person. I'm a good person. I couldn't have made that mistake. And it's like, but it did happen. And it's like, no, 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 no. No, I'm a good person. So it's like, you have to be careful because we could trick ourselves.
But isn't that also having the courage to not avoid conflict? For example, I had a breakup with a working relationship, and a friend called me out on it. Like you just said, a beautiful friend, thank you, Annie, said, hey, you had multiple opportunities to tell this person in the working relationship what was up, and you didn't. Like, they need that check-in too. That's actually a gift. It's not like you're bad it's also a gift. We as people keep each other accountable.
Yeah, it is.
And I felt that when Annie told me that, I was like, you're right. I didn't go about it the best way. I could have shown up in a different way. But part of that is I just didn't want the conflict.
Yeah. I'd rather be wrong than unwilling.
I'd rather be wrong than unwilling.
Yeah. I'd rather be in a scenario where I'm resolving conflict and I feel like I'm right in the situation, and then I end up finding out that I'm wrong, than to be in a scenario with someone in conflict where I'm like absolutely unwilling to even like hold space for it. I'm unwilling to even hear them or listen because I much rather settle on my idea of what I think is happening. That happens a lot. It's another form of conflict avoidance. We're often just like unwilling to look at the situation fully, not just from our own perspectives, from our own bodies and experience. But I think like it takes really deep honor for the human being to be able to sit with the possibility that, you may be right, you may be wrong, but the person in front of you has an experience that deserves to be heard.
There's this teacher I love, Richard Dawkins. You know Richard Dawkins?
No.
Great books, Power versus Force, Letting Go. I've talked about them on here. And Dawkins says you cannot begin this process of healing, or let's say growing or evolution, until you can take honor in who you are, where you are. Until you can have that conflict with yourself. And you can be like, oh, I'm afraid of this. I do this. I don't do this. And honestly, take accountability, a radical accountability. We really jumped ahead, and it's beautiful. Can you introduce yourself to people listening?
My name is Indya, for now, I guess. Sometimes I feel like changing my name, but
What would you change it to?
I don't know. There are a few ideas that I have, but I don't want to talk about them out loud and then look back at the video and regret saying it.
What's a name mean to you that you might change yours and adopt another?
Well, I named myself, which I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity to have done when I was very young. I liked and enjoyed very much the sound of the word India, and I wanted to apply it to me because it sounded really, really nice and sweet, and it also felt strong somehow, and I felt like that sound embodied me in some capacity. And so when I was 15, I named myself that. But I think now I'm not the same person that I was when I was 15, and so I think...
Hopefully.
Well, I think there's positives and there are negatives to not being the same person that we were when we were children.
Okay, yeah. I didn't think of it like that, because we want that childhood spirit, but...
It's important to remember some parts of who we were when we were kids.
Yeah. And you feel like you've lost those parts?
No, not necessarily. Not at all.
Okay.
I think those parts can be buried by layers of worldly stimuli and hurt, pain, things. But it's always there.
And when did the evolution possibly to the next phase or the next name really take hold?
I think integrating what I've learned from what my experiences have been so far with my child self, I feel like that, I think, would bring me closer to what you just asked me. What did you just ask? I forgot the question.
When did you have the awakening or the
Yeah,
realization that the
I think
evolution
like
is happening?
I think yeah, like I think when I started to work on my trauma and like kind of confront a lot of my own pain, and like really took really serious time to heal myself. I think that's when I started to experience that. And I think that healing, like I said before, allowed me to integrate what I've learned in my adult life with who I am in my core, which is what I go back to my childhood for. So I think integrating those things together, I think, brings me to that point of transformation. I think also like I think like I've also been experiencing a lot of changes in my social life that have caused me to feel a little more isolated. I've also been thinking about like how isolation also stimulates or like causes me to move into a transitional space as well. And I think that's where I have most of my, I think, deepest experiences that I would refer to as more spiritual as well, when I'm alone. And I think while I really value the company of people who love me and that I love back, I also value being alone too, because it helps me to grow.
Yeah, I mean, I've done whole episodes on my silent retreats here, and I'm a big fan of deep solitude. Big fan. You can learn a lot. You can heal a lot. You can see a lot. You can listen to a lot of the noise in your body and in your spirit. I don't think this is super private because now it's on your body. You got a fresh tattoo. What's it mean?
Well, about 2 years ago, I held a ceremonial process of healing for myself. I got a little rental spot in the mountains in Santa Monica, and I ended up getting COVID shortly after. And so I was isolated. And
It all comes back to isolation.
It all comes back to isolation. And I worked with I like called, I felt like I was dying. It was horrible. And so I called this like IV drip company because I was like by myself, and I was like, I need to like invest in my recovery right now. And they gave me these monoclonal antibodies. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have not.
They're antibodies that are made in a lab that can be programmed or like created to defend against specific viruses or pathogens. And so it just helps your body to identify it more readily. And so I took a dose of that, and I also, through this medical connection, met a nurse who also practiced natural medicine and introduced something called combo to me.
Combo.
And so I had a combo ceremony after my monoclonal
ceremony
antibodies administration. Like I think it was like 2 days later. It wasn't right away. And And it was really powerful. And I purged a lot, and I felt really light after. I also didn't have any more symptoms from the COVID too after that. Um, and so then 2 days later, I called her again and I did another one. And it's really intense. Have you ever done it before?
I've done toad medicine, but not combo. I've done bufo. Which
Combo is, yeah, it's not psychedelic
yeah.
at all. It's very, very physical and really intense. But
I avoid some of the consciously. I know that I avoid purge type things because that feeling, that movement is intense for me. Probably for everyone.
It's only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not like a 5-hour like mushroom purge, you know. So I did that, and I felt really strong and I felt really clear. And I thought, wow, like if it feels aligned, I think that in a few days I should hold mushroom ceremony for myself. And so then I did. I felt really, really good. And I felt like really confident to hold the space for myself with the mushrooms.
Is this a confidence specifically for that instance, or a confidence that you were like, oh, I don't move through the world with this type of confidence?
Well, it was a very unique and particular sense of confidence for that mushroom experience. I felt really courageous to go through it on my own at a 3.5 gram dose. And so definitely that was never something I've done before. I've always used mushrooms with other people. And if I did use it alone, it was never at that dose. So I felt really ready to do it. And the time came, and I organized this space for myself. And I called a friend to be my virtual sitter. And she was on the laptop, and I took the mushrooms and I put on my eye mask and I played this frequency that is probably the crown chakra. Okay. It's the highest one.
Up here?
Yeah. And I was listening to the frequency while I had the blindfolds on. And I was just sitting with it. And, I was just there for an hour, kind of like awake. And nothing happened. I was just, everything just felt really clear, and like, I think my expectations were that I would have an experience that was a little more eventful. And so I'm like, Melanie? I mean, I said her name. Maybe I shouldn't have said her name. I don't know. But she didn't respond.
Person on the laptop.
Yeah, we can maybe bleep it.
Yeah.
And she didn't respond. And so I took off the eye mask, and the visual experience that I had was so different.
When the mask came off.
Yeah.
Literally.
From what our experience is without mushrooms, that I would feel more hesitant trying to describe it publicly, like on this in this forum. But it was really, really special and really, really beautiful. And really something to sit with. So I was just like, okay. And took off the eye mask, and everything was very beautiful. But the way that I experienced physical objects was it's difficult to explain. So this is the first time that I had mushrooms at this dose. And so I'm like, oh my God, Melon. I'm like, oh my God, friend. Yo, da, 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 da. And I'm like, yo, friend. And I hear her snoring. Like after like I calm down, like, yo, what's going on? So I start laughing. I thought it was hilarious that I thought I needed a sitter. And the way that I laughed though, like it was really, really intense. Like I started laughing really, really hard. And then I was like, ha ha ha, like ha ha. Like it was really like guttural. And I don't know if like, let me try to see. You ever like laughed really hard or screamed really loud or pushed really, really hard? Most of us have.
Yeah.
And you feel like the pressure go to your eyes and the light starts to darken a little bit.
Yeah, with you.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, you know how like when you're pushing a lot of pressure, the blood sort of goes to your face. So that pressure around my eyes.
We're talking about blacking out, like right.
We're talking about blacking
yeah.
out.
Yes.
Right, basically
Yeah.
almost there. So I was laughing so hard that I almost blacked out.
Okay.
But I didn't. And the thing that I saw, the pressure, happened in the form. So like the pressure, it wasn't just like blacking out. It was in a pattern. And the pattern was the flower of life. So like I would laugh like really, really hard. And then I would see the flower of life like everywhere I looked. And it'd be like really, really intense. And I still had the frequency playing, and because I had headphones on.
Oh.
I'm not sure if that's why, but this pattern on my neck is what I saw. And so I thought, wow, like is that what happens when we laugh? Like when we're really, really happy, when we like.
That's the flower of life. Laughter is the flower of life.
Maybe, I don't know. But I was like, is this what happens when we're sincerely in joy, like in laughter? Not like the fake laugh that kind of comes out sometimes, like, or like the haha, that was fun. Like actually like the thing that you can't control when it happens. And so that was, I think, the most beautiful. I mean, like I've seen really beautiful things that helped me to I think like take the world a little bit more serious. But I feel like in this moment, this was the most beautiful thing. And I feel like that for me symbolized something really, really beautiful. And I know I said beautiful like 5 times in the same sentence, but like it was so
beautiful.
It was so beautiful. Like, I don't know. And I saw it from inside of myself. And so like, yeah, like I think, what does the flower of life symbolize for me in that experience? Well, first of all, it's joy, but also it's truth, because that joy was like undeniable. It was just true. And so it was like love, it was joy, it's truth. And I think those, I think, are that is the space that I want to always be able to communicate in. That's the space that I always want to be able to hold in communication. Like I want to always tell the truth, no matter how hard it is. I want to find ways to let people know that I don't actually need to share that information. If a truth is something that if there's a truth that I don't feel like sharing, like I want to like allow being more honest to shape me into the kind of person that is able to make boundaries, more carefully. And because I think when we're honest consistently, not only do other people get to learn about us in a way that's more sincere, but we also get to learn about ourselves in a way that's more sincere. And so I feel like for those reasons, I felt like I wanted to put the flower of life on my throat.
It's beautiful.
And the opportunity came because a friend held a tattoo party in her place. And I was just like, okay, everybody's getting a tattoo, why not? And yeah, this is what I got, and that's the intention behind it.
Dope. Do you know the Baha'i faith?
No.
There's a faith practice, Baha'ism, possibly. I could be saying that wrong. They have a whole month dedicated to beauty.
Mm.
They actually call it the month of flowering because if you give your life to beauty, whatever that means to you, maybe it's a full belly laugh, maybe it's being around people you love, maybe it's presence. But if you consciously commit to beauty for a month, you will flower a beautiful life. And so you're doing it every day.
It's beautiful. I'm trying my best.
What is you're into this solitude. We're into this presence. We're evolving sometimes, but we're evolving. What's your relationship right now with media or culture or Hollywood, or where do you stand in relation with that? I know that me personally, I always feel like I'm battling. I've yet to learn how to have like the monk in me love the artist in me and have them make love. To me, they are separate beings, and I want them to be one. I want the person who says, look at me, to also be the same person who says, let me be. And they battle. They do. They fight more than they communicate. And so what's your relationship with that?
I really appreciate the way that a Sufi scholar, a mystic, who would probably be referred to as a scholar, breaks down the self, or like the human. They classify our existence in 3 shapes. The first is the soul. The second is the intelligence. And the third is the ego. And like what we were saying earlier in our conversation about sort of the layers of things that had come up on top of my childhood self. The pain, hurt, all those things have become like layers of a sense of self that sometimes is overreactive, sometimes is over defensive, but is nevertheless there. Sometimes wants to just be seen and, wants to be celebrated and, and maybe doesn't want to listen to other people. Maybe just wants to be heard. And there's like that, the ego. That's what it looks like for me. Maybe for you too. Maybe for most of us. And then there's my soul, my spirit, that I think is like the thing that tells me when something is not right, or is like, this doesn't feel good for you. But then my ego's like, oh, but I want it. And it's very desirous, and it's so like fragile, and it's like easy to tempt and to, the ego's so fragile. It's very weak. But my spirit, on the other hand, is what's responsible for my the most beautiful facet of my stubbornness, which is to keep going. And it also is what guides me to the right place, what helps me see people past their egos, helps me to see other people and their spirit. For me, my artistry exists in my intelligence, but also in my spirit, but also in my ego.
Yeah, that I feel deeply. Those, yes.
And my artistry, my creativity is informed by the experiences my ego has. It's informed also by my soul's coremost motivations. And so that balance, honey, I get it. Hollywood doesn't nourish the soul. Hollywood nourishes the ego, barely even your intelligence. It's just all ego. Maybe there's some ways that we are creatively inspired when we are around certain people and are placed in certain environments. But what I'm hearing you say when you refer to Hollywood is the conglomerate. It's the corporation. It's the
machine,
the farmer, the machine. And all that really does, it pokes you and sees whatever's going to make you create whatever it is that it can make more money off of. And if you're someone who follows the rules, or, who doesn't challenge things very often, if it's rewarding you, then it's easy to navigate, because the reward that you're receiving is satisfying your ego, but not your spirit.
Or your intelligence.
But even your intelligence, perhaps, too. Maybe it, you could be sitting around reading a bunch of books and just be all up in the physical, experience. But I think Hollywood, because it nourishes and nurtures the part of me that's vain, the part of me that isn't as empathetic, the part of me that, that submits, turns a blind eye, nourishes the part of me that is afraid. And not the part of me that is courageous, the part of me that speaks up, or the part of me that really is invested in the value of the people whose experiences I'm telling on screen. Hollywood forces the person to compartmentalize their passion and their love and their artistry and their spirit.
Often their voice.
Their spirit.
Yeah.
And their ego. It's like, we want you to just tell this story about this revolutionary. We want you to play the character of this revolutionary. But you can't be it.
A revolutionary.
You will play Fred Hampton. You will play Martin Luther King. You will play Rosa Parks. You will play James Baldwin. But you cannot embody their values. You cannot. You cannot. Absolutely not. If you embody the values of these revolutionaries that you are performing on TV and on screen, you're going to fuck up the whole production.
The whole system.
You're going to fuck up the whole system. Excuse my language.
Oh, yeah, go.
But that's the way it is. And that's why, for me, if I want to thrive in Hollywood, I have to be willing to allow my ego to take the front seat, but also to allow my intelligence to keep me to be the barrier between my spirit and what I express outwardly. I can't allow my soul to lead me in Hollywood. Because I did. And the work slowly started to stop. People treated me horribly. And when I spoke up about it, I was classified as being complicated, which makes sense. It makes sense. It's true. Of course I was complicated. Of course I was difficult to work with. The environment that I had to work in was not easy. It worked against, in many ways, the fiber of my being. And so I think you have to decide what's most important, what you're creating or who's going to sell it.
What you're creating or who is going to sell it.
And you have to make a choice. I'd rather create to fully and truly be a reflection of not just these times, but a reflection of the selves that we want to become, that we want to see in each other and our human family. I don't want to just reflect the worst parts of these times, the shadows of the human experience. I want to also reflect the light. And I can't do that if I'm not allowed to let my soul take the wheel. So what I do hope is that I'll be able to do what work I can that is made out of my real life, the mistakes that I've made, but as well as the growth that I so desire to embody. And I hope that from that microcosm, I can reflect outward to a macrocosm where other people are able to see themselves. And that's the role, that's my role as an artist. I don't always have the opportunity to fill it. I haven't really had much of an opportunity in Hollywood to fulfill that. Maybe Pose was the closest thing. And Jim Jarmusch, in the movie that I got to make with him, even closer. But I'm very, very, very much interested in being able to tell stories that are led by our spirit, because that's what we need. We keep feeling like we don't have much time left, but then we're like, I gotta get to the capital. I gotta get there on time. But then it's like we're gonna keep making it to work on time until we have no time to get to work because shit is falling apart. And so we have to, at some point, start creating in a way that really honors the direction that we're headed if we don't change. And while those of us with the most privilege and the most resources very well know what direction that is and are prepared to weather it, most of us are not. And the only way that we're going to be able to get, I think, our world aligned in a place that we can all benefit from, in a world where it is not okay to murder someone's children, to take someone's home or land. We have to tell the truth. And we can't be afraid of it. And I think the only way that we can get there is if we make art from a place that is true. And that place is our spirit.
Art will be a part of the future, and it will help to shape whatever future that will be.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think like that push and pull, that tussle that Hollywood creates, that war inside of us, you know, we can keep on trying to keep a balance. But that balance, for me, it feels like an endless war. I don't want that.
It's very samsaric. It's like a cycle. It's just like the hamster wheel, you know.
But it's not even Hollywood. It's not about Hollywood. It's about the larger world that we're all living in. Hollywood, it's easy to brand it under Hollywood.
Well, Hollywood is birthed of this world and these issues of consciousness and
It's the
separation
propaganda of it,
yeah.
for sure. Mm-hmm.
I'm making this piece right now, and one of the acts is narcissist. It's about narcissist and how I say that everyone needs to be a little narcissistic in order to order from Amazon while the Amazon burns, in order to watch Chef's Table while there's a hungry person outside. There is a bit of self-drowning we have to do to participate in the world as it is currently structured.
Mm-hmm. But we can participate less and less.
Yes, yeah, and that's why I like this.
And de-escalate.
This third, you talked about the three. You know, we have the spirit or soul,
Yes.
intelligence, ego. Because I often I think of two only. I don't think I even put intelligence in that convo.
Or heart.
Yeah, I knew I had intelligence, but it was always like ego versus spirit. I know what my spirit wants. I know what it craves. I know what it wants to be a part of. I know what my ego wants. I know what it craves. I know what it wants to be a part of or told. But to use intelligence as a skill set that says this will be your blinder, or this will help you navigate, or this will be your border, you know, is a really beautiful tool, for better or for worse, however you use it. And that's what it makes me think. It's your call how you use that intelligence to move you towards spirit or to move you towards ego.
Yeah. Ego, I think my sense of self and my soul both want my intelligence to be on its side.
Yeah.
Really
bad. Right. Yeah. Yeah. One on each shoulder, and it says, come here, tug of war.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I think anytime one of them stamps out the other, you know, my soul temporarily, it's always temporary. Yeah. You know, the part of me, I think this is a beautiful reflection that I also got to read in a book that feels true in my body as well. But the part of me that is neutral becomes frightened, you know, of all sides, because of that constant war. And that's my heart, you know.
The part of you that is neutral becomes frightened.
Mm-hmm.
So neutrality is scary.
No, the part of me that is neutral becomes frightened. And so it's not neutral anymore. It picks a side. But maybe it doesn't pick any side, you know? And so it's like, it's just scared instead of being like, hey, y'all. And so I think while intelligence is there, for me, it can't serve as my mediator. It's just the wheel. I think my heart, you know, is probably the best chance I got next to God. You know, when I'm in trouble between my ego and my soul, you know. I hear that. That's, I think that, yeah. But I think that the visibility of, I think giving language to that structure of ourselves, I think allows us to have more command over what we want to shine the most.
Or what we want to just shine for us.
Exactly.
Just chilling in the crib, you know, shining.
Just chilling in the crib, shining.
Flowers coming out of our necks, you know, for real. For real. That's it. Right? Your flowers are here. They're not something that can be given to you. They're here. Someone can give you flowers, but you'll want more from someone else. I just think it's an endless hunger. That's sort of the Buddhist in me really does believe in hungry ghost. You know, it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst type of reincarnation is to be a hungry ghost.
Yeah.
You just eat and eat and eat and consume, and you were never full. And you can only be satisfied when you decide to sit there and be satisfied.
Yeah. Be grateful. I used to struggle a lot with gratitude, and I still do sometimes. I think like I appreciate.
Same.
Yeah, I'll appreciate, but like I realize that appreciation and gratitude are like actually different things.
Appreciation and gratitude are different. Explain appreciation.
I think appreciation is maybe gratitude without the maintenance. And appreciation is it's less embodied, It's like, oh, thank you. Or it's like, but I think like gratitude feels more like a practice. It feels more like a maintenance. Something that, for example, like, oh, I appreciate this gift. Thank you. But like, there's also like, can I bake you some cookies? Thank you for these flowers, I think gratitude is reciprocation, which is, I think, one way that we can maintain our appreciation into gratitude. Me, I just assume that, like, my reflections are legible for other people in their own lives, which is why I say we. But I'm really talking about myself. But yeah, I think like a practice that I've been more consistent at, and I'm grateful for, is like making my bed, or whatever bed I sleep in.
God damn it! I hope my partner doesn't listen to this. She's like, you got one flaw. She's like, you make the bed with no respect.
Literally. Every cis man.
She's like, with no respect. Literally, what is this?
I had to tell my friend, I'm like, yo, you don't see So yeah, I mean, like I it's just a practice. I don't want to make the bed in the morning. First thing I want to do is maybe go drink a cup of water, fart, take a shit, pee. I don't know. I want to make the bed. What do you mean make the bed? I'll smoke a joint. So, yeah, like I think for me, making the bed in the morning, it's symbolic of, I think it's symbolic for the honor that I want to be able to do everything else outside of the bed too. Right? Because I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to inspire this person. I want to inspire that person. And, not inspiring myself enough because my bed is still ugly. Yeah. Getting out of the bed is messy. I want to save the world, can't make my bed. So I started making my bed, and turns out I feel really good about it. And I appreciate my bed more. I appreciate, with so much spiritual context, having a place to lay down, anywhere to lay down. Every night. It's a blessing. And so, like, if I stay over my friend's house, I'll make their bed. If I stay over a lover's house, I'll make his bed or her bed or their bed. And I think, like, yeah, it's I think a practice to show gratitude for that as a resource.
I have a meditation teacher who says everybody wants to save the world, but nobody wants to do the dishes. And that if you could do the dishes with your whole heart, you could begin to save the world.
Start with the bed. Then we'll get to the dishes.
They also say that about saying thank you is, think about how many times you say thank you. You get a cup of coffee, thank you, thank you, thank you. Actually say thank you. See, like thank them for everything. Thank them. We're coming
we're coming up on time. And then thank them for planting the coffee beans, okay?
Yeah.
Thank them for, this is my friend Abdul, he put me on to the depth of gratitude. Thank them for transporting the coffee beans, okay? Thank them for brewing it, but also thank them for building the table that you placed their coffee on. And then thanking the tree responsible for being that table.
Thank you, Abdul.
Thank you, Abdul.
Thank you, Abdul. Next time on Brown It Up, Abdul. Any questions for me before we wrap?
Why did you choose to create your podcast?
The book was first.
Which was?
Brown Enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so
By?
Myself, Christopher Rivas.
Period.
And I was coming to meet and love and care about and understand and thank and all these things we're talking about and find joy and laughter in my own being. My own queensness, my own nerdiness, my own Buddhistness, my own actingness. Like I was just trying to learn how to love myself.
Yeah.
And then this opportunity came to have these conversations where I think so many beautiful bodies of culture, brown bodies, everyone under sort of the gaze of whiteness is also doing this beautiful dance of being so much more than one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and being so expansive.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what a great opportunity. I get to learn. You've taught me. I get to learn. I get to grow. I get to meet my intelligence and my heart and my ego.
Huh. And the soul.
And the soul. And so that's why. And so I'm grateful, and I will bake you cookies.
You'll make me cookies and I'll bring you flowers.
I will bake you cookies as
if your partner's
as
okay
a thank
with
you.
it.
Oh, she'll actually bake the cookies.
I'll make her also a bouquet.
She'll bake the cookies.
We'll all have
She's
flowers
the baker.
on the
I
table.
will deliver. And yeah, super. I'm genuinely grateful, and I thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you creating a podcast and creating a platform to evoke what you feel like needs to be heard, and from whoever you want to invite to do that.
Well, space is a belonging, and I know that people listening, I know that your words will be medicine. I know every week when this comes out, someone gets medicine because they feel seen. And when you feel seen, which I think is what we all want, we know we belong. We know we're exactly where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so your words and your presence is medicine. I know many people agreeing will listen.
I appreciate that. And you as well. Mm.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, y'all. Jordan, done? No notes. I took no notes.
Wow. It was easy. It was fun.
Just chatting.
Chatting.
Chatting it up. Good?